Hey everyone, my name is Aaron, and this video I'm going to show you how to use ChatGPT, Google Gemini, or any other large language model in your code to make it better and more flexible. Watch what I can do with it. I can go ahead and translate any text into any language that I like. For example, here I'm translating Hungarian to English. Let's unravel. We have two ways of using LLMs, large language models, in our source code. I'm working in Python, but these principles are valid throughout all programming languages. And the first one is what I call native, meaning you download the SDK of OpenAI or Facebook or Google or whichever LLM you are planning to use and start using that one. The advantages of this solution is that you probably get a more fine-tuned, more on-hand approach about the whole situation. You get better control over what your LLM does and doesn't. Also, typically you have earlier access to new features. The other solution is to have a bundled package. I am personally using LangChain for this purpose. And the advantage of that is that you don't have to learn each and every individual SDK. You just get to learn, you just get to use whichever LLM you want without changing your code too much, thanks to LangChain. However, LangChain is not very popular amongst developers, and there is a very good reason for that. I am one of those developers with whom LangChain is not very popular. I personally find it a little bit complicated, a little bit over-imagined, over-engineered. So yeah, I'm not a huge fan. But today we're going to have a look at both. So you get to judge yourself and see which one is best for you. Let's begin with the native one, ChatGPT's SDK. I am not going to get into installation here. That is into another video. Okay, let's see what we have. So I have this virtual environment set up for myself where I have OpenAI SDK installed. Don't worry about the rest. It's just older tutorials that I did in my other channel. So yeah, let's go. And I'm just going to do ChatGPT demo.py is going to be the name. Okay. Okay, absolutely the wrong directory, but it doesn't matter at all. Awesome, brilliant. So now I'm going to start importing stuff, yeah? And you can immediately see that Claude Sonnet is actually my choice of AI for this purpose. It is recommending us some really nice code that we can start as boilerplate. I'm gonna import OS, and then I'm gonna get the OpenAI API key from the environment. The reason for this is that I don't want you guys to know my OpenAI API key. I know you are all nice people and stuff, but you would probably, use it, and I don't want that to happen. Okay, let's go. Let me do one more thing, which is let me load the environment from a .env file. Okay, let's see what this does. Okay, let me go to the proper folder, which is Python tutorial. And unfortunately, I'll just create this folder here. Never mind about this. It's just some housekeeping that you don't need to care about. And I sadly have this here, which is just plain wrong. So this code is very simple. As you can see, it's a mere 15 lines. And what it does is we load some environment variables, which include my OpenAI API key. So, because, I don't want you to learn it. So what happens is this function call will load all the strings in my .env file as environment variables. And then I can use them with the getEnv function in the OS module, and I can read those out, namely the OpenAI API key. Mind you, if you are deploying to production and you are actually using this code in a production environment, you will very likely use some cloud-based secrets manager like AWS Secrets Manager or Google Secrets Manager or whatever you like to get the environment variables into your code. And here comes the tricky part. It's a bit long, but what it does is basically From the standpoint of ChatGPT, what happens is we have a dialogue that is not completed yet, and we need to complete it. So what OpenAI returns to us, or rather ChatGPT returns to us, are completions of the dialogue. And what we need, not much that we need to do really, we have to specify that the model we are using is 4.0, and then we can go ahead and in the role of user, send any message to it. Now, typically what we do, okay, let me just put some really short content here. It doesn't really matter, of course. Say hello to the people watching this on YouTube. Okay, really simple. And then we have choices in our response. It is always best to choose the first one, but if you're in a context where it makes sense, you can show multiple choices and let the user decide which one they like best. If you get multiple choices, sometimes you only get one, yeah? And each of them is contains a message, and the message is always this structure, okay? This is this structure. This is kind of the OpenAI standard message structure. You have a role and you have a content. Now, very obviously, in this response, the only role you're going to have is the assistant role. That means ChatGPT itself, and the content is the text. Let's run this and see what happens. Aha, look, now we are waiting, and it says, hello everyone watching on YouTube, thanks for joining us, I hope you enjoy the content. A round of applause to ChatGPT for saying hello to you, everybody here. There are a couple more things that we can set when we are using ChatGPT directly. So for example, we can set the temperature, and the temperature is a number between 0 and 2. And the higher you set it, the more freedom you give ChatGPT to use wordings and change the style that it is using. So now I'm just gonna, just for fun, try it with 1.5. It's pretty much the same thing. It says make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more content, which is actually a great idea. Thanks, ChatGPT, for reminding me. But it was not part of the original instruction, so it's kind of allowing it more liberty to use it. The typical temperature we use is 0.7 or 0.8, depending on your personal taste. Now I'm going to leave it at 1.5 because why not, right? Now, the thing is, this is all nice and good, but this is not very helpful. The way we actually use ChatGPT typically is we give it a set of instructions first, and for this purpose, oh yeah, we are already getting the help from Claude Sonnet. We have the role of system, and the system is the unquestionable word of God, or whoever, or you actually, the software developer, who is for ChatGPT equally powerful. And this is where you define what your assistant or what your AI-based solution should actually do. For example, let me just show you one thing that I typically have in my code, and that is that I call the rephrase text. Yeah, what it does is takes a normal piece of text and kind of makes it more nice, because one thing that is a certain surefire giveaway of your text being generated by a piece of software is that it's always the same. You know this in games. If you're playing Counter-Strike, just because that's what I have on mine, you would typically hear bomb has been planted, bomb has been defused, terrorists win, and so on and so forth. The same text always and always again. So to make this a little bit more refreshing and unique, I'm actually oftentimes having ChatGPT rephrase my sentences so that it's not always the same. Let's see how that is done. And in this case, I'm gonna, yeah, I have the text as an incoming parameter, and the content is, you are a literature bot that gets, yeah, rephrase version of it. Make sure the meaning of the text doesn't change. Make the text more eloquent, and what else? And more concise. Okay, that works perfectly fine. And then obviously, instead of saying that stupid text, we are giving the text to the bot itself, okay? And then all we need to do is, instead of printing the response, we need to return that response. Let's see what happens here. Hello world, that's kind of a boring message. Rephrase, and we're gonna rephrase, this is my English video about using ChatGPT in Python. Hope you like it. Yeah, not a big message, let's be honest. This is just pretty standard text. But if I rephrase it, let's see what I get. Aha, here is my English video on utilizing ChatGPT within Python. I hope you enjoy it. Yeah, a little bit better, not a whole lot better, but a little bit better. But you get the idea. This is like a super simple 10-line function, or 15-line function, but still it already creates value for your own source code. So that's one example of how you can use ChatGPT directly in your code. There is one more thing that I frequently do when it comes to ChatGPT, and it's really basic usages, which is extracting information from what the user said. So oftentimes we have situations when we need information from the user. For example, I want to know, for whatever reason, I want to know the user's age, height, and weight. Okay, I'm doing like this BMI calculation. That will be our example. And for BMI calculation, I'm going to need just the user's height and weight. Okay, that is just enough for me. So the simple part is calculate BMI, weight, height, and then obviously this is the formula for BMI. No big deal here, okay? But the problem is users are typically not very happy to just use these scroll down, drop down items, or maybe you're in a context where you don't get the option to do that because whatever reasons. So we're gonna have OpenAI, or rather ChatGPT, extract this information from text for us. And what I'm gonna do is extract height and weight. Height and weight, okay? That's actually not how we're going to do this. I'm just going to blatantly copy this because why not? It doesn't really matter too much, okay? And what I'm going to do is here change the prompt. I'm going to reduce the temperature to 0.1 because I don't need creativity here, okay? All I need is to be very strict, keep it straight, and I'm going to use... why can I not delete just parts of it? Whatever, that's fine. Okay, so, oh, actually this is, the text is the text is what the user said about themselves, okay? You need to extract the height and weight from the text. Yes, the height is in centimeters. Sorry for everybody who watches this and uses the imperial system. Here in Europe we use metric, and that is a little bit easier. Okay, there you go. And the weight is in kilograms. Okay, but we are not done yet. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make this a long string because I don't like it being out of the screen, okay? And I'm just gonna break the line here. Kilograms, yeah. Bear with me while I fix this. Come on, okay? Okay, the JSON format as an object with, yeah, with two keys, height and weight. And this is a key sentence here. If I was really doing this in a proper way, then I would use the specific feature for OpenAI SDK, which actually specifies the JSON format in which we need to return this. But we don't actually need that in simple cases like this. You can just go ahead and say, I want the answer like this. I can also give an example. Giving an example is called few shots prompting, when you just give one or two examples to the LLM and you help it return the proper value. Be mindful, because if you give too many examples, that will taint the bot towards using those examples as actual data. At least this is how it worked in the past. Maybe they fixed it now, I don't know. But the point is, here we have this information. And then I'm gonna say, instead of rephrasing, I'm just gonna comment this out. Yeah. I am actually a little bit taller. I'm 175. Sadly, I am much heavier. 98 kilograms heavy. Okay. Okay, awesome. And now let's see what happens with this one. This is not the final destination. I'm just testing now, because if I push the button, we're gonna get a beautiful structure. But don't be fooled. This is not a JSON structure. This is still just a string, okay? Because we need to extract the JSON from it. So I'm gonna call this JSON text. Yep. Why not? Let's do it this way. JSON.loads, and then of course I need to import JSON as well. Okay, so now that I have JSON with me, now I can actually return the dictionary as it's supposed to be, right? Let's see now. You will not see any difference, I think. It will be exactly the same, except if you're really mindful, you can see that here it was using double quotes and now it's using single quotes, which is not the JSON standard, but unfortunately JSON loads, actually JSON dumps does it this way. Not very nice, because if you export it like this and you try to load it with anything, including JSON loads, you will get error messages. But that's fine. That's the idea here. So if you ever get into a situation where your software needs to extract some data from what the user inputted you, this is a really smart way to do it. Okay, so now we have an idea on how we do how we use OpenAI's own SDK. Let's do another one, and let's do LangChain-based solution as well. Okay, and I will just go ahead and say LangChain demo. Brilliant. Okay. Very obviously, we're going to need a whole lot of things from LangChain. LangChain has a little bit different philosophy. It's basically set on around a pipeline, and that pipeline in every step adds or changes the outcome of the initial prompt. So in LangChainese, you have the original prompt and the input data, and with a pipeline, you transform it to the response of the AI or of the LLM. You are not actually getting completions, you are doing conversions. Let me use Cursor's built-in function to generate stuff that which helps a lot. Let me just turn off my head for just 1 second. Okay, oh God, this is not what we need. This is an old situation. Add LangChain demo. Yes, here we go. Generate a code that uses LangChain to send a prompt to ChatGPT 4.0 and print the response. Really simple, just like that. And it says generating, and boom, we're gonna have this code in our editor in a second. I'm just gonna accept all, because I don't think anything else changed. It should be fine. Yep. And then, yeah, we need to do the same things. We need to do the same preparations, meaning we need to load .env, and after all the inputs happen, we need to load that so we get the OpenAI API key. That's great, yeah. We don't need that many comments. Claude Sonnet is always spamming us with comments, but this is already actually done. Yeah, GPT 4.0 is the actual temperature 0.7. That is perfectly fine. And here you can see that we have different classes. It's not just a JSON structure anymore. We do have human message and AI message that have the same content. We just don't do the role anymore. So yeah. And then, of course, we get the response. Yeah, it's removing the comments for me, which is great. And then we get the responses content. The response is an AI message class. So that's all we have here. Let's test if this works. What are the 3 most important things to consider when learning a new programming language? That's an interesting question. But of course, we don't have it installed just yet. So I'm going to go ahead and install LangChain OpenAI, which is super nice because it will get all the dependencies, and I'm just gonna sit back and relax until it's done. Okay, let's try again. Okay, we need to pip install LangChain, which is inexplicable to me. How did it install LangChain OpenAI if there was no LangChain installed? But life sometimes contains some surprises. Awesome. Let's try now. Yeah, there we go. We have some deprecation messages. Like I mentioned, there are some people who don't like LangChain, and I am one of those people. And the reason for that is that the API itself is still very much changing a lot. And basically, if you use LangChain, you would very likely get these messages a lot. And this time it says, call was deprecated in this, which I haven't even installed, and will be removed. So we should use the method invoke instead. The only thing is I am not using any of those. So it's internal, and that happens a lot, like really a lot. Because in line 19, I'm just calling the chat function, and I really have no idea what happens behind. So yeah, it is what it is. But anyhow, what you can do though is you can invoke. I think this works. We'll see if it does, okay? But the idea anyways is the same. We get really nice markdown code and it works just fine. And the point here, the entire point of LangChain is that if I change this to whatever, Llama, whichever version that is, or if I'm into Gemini, I can change it to Gemini. Gemini works as well. So I'm not tied to any vendor or any implementation here. I can change it to whatever. I am not going to lie to you guys. I have always only used ChatGPT 4.0 for any human interaction because to me, that seems to be the best. That's the case. Personal tastes, again, you can go ahead and experiment with it. Maybe this is a bit too much. Let's just say that tell people in the YouTube video to make a comment whether they like LangChain or not. Yeah, brilliant. Needless to say, the same principles as worked before, they will work just fine. So you can change this into the rephrase function or whatever you like, and then you're gonna get different messages. But to do that, we're going to see how we can have a nice prompt. Okay, invoke does not. The model ChatGPT 4.0 does not exist. Oh, sorry, it's not ChatGPT, it's just GPT 4.0. My bad. But at least you saw what happens when you give a wrong model name. That you get a rather descriptive error message, which is, I'm not sure where this comes from, whether this comes from OpenAI actually. It's not a benefit of LangChain, it's a benefit of OpenAI, so yeah. But it's fine, you should say something like blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's perfect, that's perfectly fine. Brilliant, okay. Let's try with a different model, and then let's get a list of all the LangChain model names. Let's get the list of all the chat models that we can use, yeah? We of course have OpenAI, but here you can see there are plenty of them. Google, why not Google? Vertex AI, Gemini 1.5 Flash. Let's give it a shot. I mean, why not, right? We have time, we have energy. I hope we don't need a subscription for that, so we'll see. Okay, let's go. So we have installed. It was -Q, so it was quiet. I missed that part, so we never saw what happened. But now we're gonna use Gemini 1.5 Flash, yeah. And then we're going to take a look at this table. Let's see how it is different. What's the difference between, well, it doesn't work. That is another big issue with LangChain. The documentation is awful, guys. I'm not gonna lie or sugarcoat this. The documentation is awful. So to have something that actually works is absolutely just a matter of luck. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. You never really know what you're gonna get. And no matter what it says here, it lies. The documentation just lies. I mean, don't get me wrong, of course it doesn't lie, it's just outdated, but it's really badly outdated. Let me go to Google Gen AI, I think that would be better. The thing is, the only thing, it's a pro model, so maybe we need a different one that is not a pro model. I wish we had a nice LangChain documentation that tells us which models we have, but sadly we do not. So yeah, thank you. JS support, package downloads, nothing. So chat models, okay. Gemini, LLMs, yeah, where's the list? Ah, here they go. Here are embeddings, vector store, LLMs. Where are the models? Like, that's the big Gemini Pro. It just says Gemini Pro without specifying a version. Any list of models that I could get, please? Pretty please? No. Let's try Gemini Pro, but I'm pretty sure this is gonna be the same thing, because it's just, if you don't have a version number, that typically means it's just the same thing, the latest version. So I am willing to bet. And also it takes bloody forever to come up with the exception. To just say, no, this doesn't work, takes bloody forever. Yeah, same thing here. By the way, this function is still called Chat with GPT-4. Let me just rename it Chat with LLM, just so it doesn't look as bad. We are not trying to chat with GPT-4 anymore. Okay, so let's try to reproduce some of the functionalities, but this time I'm gonna do something different. I'm gonna create a translator bot, because that's another situation that happens a whole lot of time. You have an application in your first language, but you want it to speak in English or to appear in English, and that way you get much more users potentially. So we're gonna do a function that says translate to English. I'm just gonna call it to English, because why not? And this is gonna be a text. Okay, brilliant. And now I'm going to have to create a non-human message. I am going to need to create an AI message. Sorry, a system message. Yeah. So there are three kinds of messages here. The first one is the human message that the user actually says, the AI message that the assistant said, and the system message, which is the unquestionable word of the software developer, who is pretty much God for the AI. Okay, let's go. You are a translator bot that translates all input to English regardless of the language of the input. Yeah, okay. It's a bit more complicated than I wanted, but it's fine. And then of course it says, hello, how are you? Which is totally not what we had. So instead of that, we will say, I'm gonna use Hungarian, my first language, and that will be, I'm not gonna say this. Yeah, this is what I'm going to translate to English. This is actually something that I might intend to use in the future, because what I'm going to need is all my channel messages be in English eventually. Yeah, there you go. That's what I said in Hungarian. That's exactly what I said in Hungarian. And needless to say, by adjusting the temperature, your results will vary, so you can have wider translations or using less common words or expressions. Using 0.7 yields a quite standard result. It's like a normal way you would put that. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, so there, in order to use Google, we're gonna need a little bit different things. I'm gonna create a different function for this, just to show you the difference. Yeah. Let me just say get response from Google. And then we're gonna have a question here, yeah? And then I'm just gonna copy most of this code, which is not nice, don't do that. But I'm gonna do it now. And then of course, I'm gonna go ahead and say, we have Chat Google Generative AI as well. Yep, what's wrong with my function name? Oh, I forgot the semicolon, yeah, brilliant. And here we actually have model, and we don't need to give the version number, we just choose Gemini, and we don't have no temperature, okay? And then I'm just gonna go ahead and say, just give the question, and see what the response is. However, before that would actually work, I still need an SDK key, and that is not as easy as it sounds like, but I'm just gonna go ahead and cheat here, okay? I will put the, I never invoked that function, sorry. This is the old one, and what I'm gonna do is get response from Google. What is the capital of Hungary? Okay, that I absolutely like. You know what? Let me give it a different question. Why should people subscribe to my Python programming and Linux channel? That's a good question. I wonder what Google says. But before we do that, we will need an API key that I'm going to take care of. And I have just learned a neat trick, so I'm going to use the same trick to teach you. That's the flow of information. Okay, Google takes way longer. So that for sure I can say Google takes way longer. And you see, we have missing credentials. We need an API key. But there is a really nice website that does that, which is nothing else but aistudio.google.com/API key. Ta-da! And here it says, okay, you want to do something brilliant. Do you want to use the studio or develop in your own environment? Of course, we're going to use this one. And I'm not going to show you my API key. I hope you don't mind. So bear with me for a second while I'll add it to my environment file. Okay, so I just added my API key generated by the website to an environment variable called Gemini API key. Let's see if this did the trick. Fingers crossed. Let's see if this actually works. Yes, it absolutely does work. Congratulations, Google. It's a bit more complicated, but nothing too serious. Okay, benefits of subscribing to your Python programming and Linux channel. Look at this. It already listed like 7 different benefits. So I think it's good advice that you should take word of. Okay, brilliant. So basically, this concludes our little presentation on how you can use large language models in your code. With the native SDK or LangChain, some advantages are for the native SDKs, some for LangChain. I personally would suggest using the native SDK, but it's entirely up to you. In my experience, we typically don't switch large language models in projects. That's what happened in my projects, at least. We once set to ChatGPT and just stick there forever. So basically, if you know in advance that your project is going to use different LLMs, then it might be worth considering using LangChain. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.